Good morning guys, welcome to TJM. I'm Brad and we're currently in my 6 litre XJC which has been sitting in the garage for a couple of weeks, and we're off into Elizabeth Bay in Sydney just to inspect one of our projects. I thought I'd take the C for a run. As I said, it's been sitting for a while. So we're going to go and have a look at this project. I'll just talk a little about my C while we're driving, and Evie's holding the camera and we're heading into the city. So this is a 1977 XJC Coupe. As everyone knows what an XJC Coupe is. I've just gone into the wrong lane. It originally started off as a 5.3 litre. 20 odd years ago, a friend of mine in Adelaide removed the engine and put a 6 litre engine in it out of a 94 XJ12. He fully rebuilt that engine with very, very fine tolerances. The heads were flowed, and a full restoration of the car was completed, including suspension, brakes, interior. It's all leather interior with Connolly leather, and he did a really, really nice job. And as you've probably seen from Harry's garage, he's got his XJC, which has just come out of the workshop, completed after 140 odd thousand pounds worth of restoration or thereabouts. My car's not as nice as Harry's, but it's a really lovely example, and I love driving it. It has more of a modern feeling than I've got another C in the 4.2. It still feels like a bit of a 50-year-old car to drive. This feels like a modern car with his upgraded suspension. It's got connies all round. He's upgraded the steering rack, so it's got more firmness with running this lovely Momo wheel, which I really like. It's got some lovely thickness about it. The instruments, as Evie's just got the camera on, are from a Series 3. These tacho and the speedo, and the reason for that is he liked the Series 3 instruments better. However, we had to work on getting the speedo to work from the gearbox, and the Series 2 one wouldn't work, so we put a Series 3 one in. He tried to hook that up to the ZF gearbox. It's not ZF, this is a, apologies for that, this is a GM L81E 4-speed box, which came standard attached to the 6 litre. Anyway, he had to put a GPS speedo in. That's entirely GPS speedo. The only negative part about that is when you go into a tunnel, you really don't know what speed you're doing. This is a unit we're just finishing off in Elizabeth Bay. Look at this gorgeous view over Sydney Harbour. Still, the windows need to be cleaned and the builder's clean. Very dense area, this Elizabeth Bay. Very heavily populated and close to the city. You can just see a little bit of the harbour bridge over there. Just finishing off the kitchen. This is going to be a rental property, so it didn't go overboard with their fixtures and fittings. Just a Caesar stone, but it's going to be a nice functional kitchen. And master bathroom, it's got a little laundry in the corner there. And a little smaller bathroom. In the background is Garden Island. We've got a couple of our ships in there, a couple of naval ships getting servicing. It's where our Navy is based. The sea found a nice setting opposite Elizabeth Bay House. Probably noticed I've got those 18-inch Simmons wheels on it all around. Not going to be popular by everybody. However, I still keep my really lovely set of 15-inch Kent GKN alloys there in the garage. I do find it handles so much better with these 18-inch wheels. They've got the correct offset, and they, in my opinion, do match the car, but they're a bit common, but it certainly improves the handling. Well, this car had this restoration 20 years ago. It's still only done 25,000 kilometres since that motor was installed, so it's still relatively a new car. C was the brainchild of Sir William Lyons, not long after the XJC Series 1 short wheelbase was available, the engineers started to design a coupe based on the short wheelbase version of the XJ6. All they really did was welded an extra 4 inches onto the front doors and build the rear guards to fill in the rest of the back doors. And a lot of extra structural work was introduced on the coupe to keep it rigid. We have our men in blue doing their services this morning on Anzac Parade. Getting pulled up this time. He started doing work on the XJC not long after the Series 1 short wheelbase became available. They believed it was going to be in a Series 1 form, but due to technical difficulties with wind sealing without the pillars and sealing those back window mechanisms and a few other things, the C wasn't released for sale until 1975 and only ran for 2 short years, 75, 76, 77, and then it was discontinued, making it a very, very rare Jaguar model indeed. Only 600 XJCs in V12 form were ever built in right-hand drive, and I believe less than 100 of those were sold new in Australia. I don't know how many really exist to this day that are on the road. Quite a few. Last year we did the XJC Muster. Oh, was it this year? I think it was March this year we did the XJC Muster down to Victoria. And there was quite a few. I think we had 35 XJCs with a combination of 6-cylinder and V12s. And that was a good run, and there were some beautiful examples down there. So there is a few. My XJC does get run, used quite a bit. The year before that, in 2020, we took her out to Broken Hill, which is far west New South Wales, and right out to Silverton and on to Packsaddle and to White Cliffs. We did quite a bit of dirt roads on her, so she's not that precious. We didn't overdo it with the dirt roads, and she had a good clean up when we got home. But she does get used, and she's a wonderful car. You can stretch its legs out in those open roads and twisties. You never feel uncomfortable, and she's just such an joy to drive. The 6-litre V12 feels far superior than a 5.3 with a 3-speed gearbox in it. Don't get me wrong, I love the 5.3, and I have one in my one of my XJS's with a GM400 in it. But the 6-litre attached to the 4-speed box is so much more torquier, better acceleration, extremely smooth. It's chalk and cheese really, and it's reasonably economical on fuel. On trips we're getting 12-13 litres per 100 kilometres. For a big V12 engine, I think that's fairly reasonable, and she'll probably up to 18-19s around the city, and that's even pretty good. Coupe definitely presents huge curbside appeal. Even now, while I was trying to get this video going of people pulling up on the side of the road and pedestrians walking up and looking and talking about the car, which wastes a lot of my time, but I like doing it because if people love the car, it's great. The style of the Series 2 always appealed to me. The front end, the short wheelbase, the pillarless design, even like the black vinyl roofs. A lot don't like a black vinyl roof, though I like to keep it as it came out like that originally. This one is not an original vinyl, that's been replaced. It's not, and it doesn't look the same as what the original would have looked like, but it's because it's in good condition, I'm not changing it. Well, not original, I think the XJS seats are a plus, and old mate told me when he reupholstered these 20 years ago, we got the last available of the Connolly leather in red. Also, the centre console was redone and restitched in leather where the original ones are vinyl. The 6 litre engine's a far more tidier unit than the original 5.3 with all its fuel lines and vacuum lines. Yet it still sits nicely in this engine bay and looks the part. Okay, well, I'm going to back this thing in the garage. She's done her work for the week. Hi guys, back in my Sydney garage. Hope you enjoyed that little review on my XJC. I know it was a bit ad lib, but most of my videos are. So next week we'll get on to the Series 1 again. And before we say goodbye, I would just like to thank all you guys that have subscribed to my channel. It's a pretty big deal to me. I'm up to 160 subscribers. That's not so bad in 3 weeks. We've had over 10,000 hits on the videos. That's also a big deal. The videos will become a little bit more professional as I start learning some of that editing equipment. That's what takes up the time, the editing. Though we'll get there. And I'd also like to thank everybody for their feedback on that Series 1 starter motor. And we're going to look at that. And I've got from the professional people that have come back to me on it, know more information than me. I think we'll get it sorted. Then after that, we can get that engine cranking. I've got to find out what sort of gearbox is in that car, because as we know now, it's a 2.8 import, not a 4.2, except the motor's a 4.2. But I don't know if the gearbox is a BW35 or an 8 or a 12 in there. We'll look under the car next week. If we get it cranking, we'll check the bores. I bought a new boroscope off Easy Bay. Paid 74 bucks for it. It should be good. Probably won't. Then we'll check the compression, make sure it's got compression all around. We'll do a dry compression test and a wet compression test. We'll go through the carbies, clean them up, make sure it's got fuel. We'll check the tanks, make sure they're clean. Hopefully we'll be able to feed those carbies with the existing tanks. And then we'll go to the sparks if we've got spark, and then brakes, and numerous other videos beyond that. So stay with us, and thanks very much. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Just press that button with that little handsome bloke down is on the corner there. He'll look after you. And if you like the video, make sure you give the thumbs up. That's also appreciated. So catch you next week.